Hello again, everyone. Again, here with younger, cuter Alyssa.
My goodness.
I know, I'm going to pay for that later. Your mom will go watch the video and be like, what was he saying? But, we got cut off again. It's so frustrating, I know, because I went on for another 15 minutes and lo and behold, you guys weren't there. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you guys missed this part and you guys never see it. I'm sorry if you guys have to watch this later. I apologize. We're working on trying a few different things so this doesn't happen. We're really working on it. But let me just pick up where I left off, and I believe it cut off. So bear with me, guys. We're going to get back in the story here. I'm going to pick back off. We were on the story of Joseph. I'm going to start right at the top of the page here. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all his officials. So Pharaoh said to them, "The Spirit of God is in this man. We can't find anyone else like him, can we?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "God has made all of this known to you. No one is as wise and understanding as you are. You will be in charge of my palace. All of my people must obey your orders. I will be greater than you, only because I am the one who sits on the throne."
It's a chair.
So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I'm putting you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." So that must be a really important chair, huh?
Yeah, it's just a chair.
It must be a really good chair.
Like that chair behind the camera. Or the rocking horse. That's like a throne.
Questionable. I don't think he has like a rocking throne. Then Pharaoh took his ring off his finger. It was the ring used to stamp all the official papers. He put it on Joseph's finger, dressed him in robes that were made of fine linen. He put a gold chain around his neck. He also had him ride in a chariot. Joseph was now next in command after Pharaoh. People went in front of him and shouted, "Get down on your knees." By doing these things, Pharaoh put Joseph in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then the Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word, no one will do anything in the whole land of Egypt." 7 good years yielded plenty of food, and everyone was happy. But then 7 bad years came, and for many countries, including Jacob and his sons, they didn't have any food. So they went to Egypt to buy food there. When Jacob's sons arrived in Egypt, they saw Joseph, but they didn't recognize him. But Joseph knew that was his brothers, and he wanted to see if they were sorry for selling him. Joseph tested his brothers by scaring them and making them think that they were in trouble for stealing.
Hey.
Did you steal from me?
No, but
Are
I'll
you sure?
smack you across the face.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, hold on. But he always made sure that they received plenty of food and didn't pay for it, because he still loved his brothers. Knowing Joseph was a great ruler of Egypt, Joseph's brothers bowed down to him in his presence, just like in Joseph's dream with the stars and the bundle of grain. Joseph made his announcement. He said, "Brothers, come close to me." Then he said, "I am your brother, Joseph, the one you sold to Egypt. But don't be upset and don't be angry with yourselves because you sold me here. God sent me ahead to save many lives. For 2 years now, there hasn't been enough food in the land. And for the next 5 years, people won't be plowing or gathering any crops. God has sent me ahead of you to keep some of you alive on earth. He sent me here to save your lives out of his mighty act of power. So then it wasn't you who sent me here, it was God. He made me like a father to Pharaoh and master of Pharaoh's house. He made me the ruler of the whole land of Egypt. Tell my father about the honor that has been given to me in Egypt. Tell him everything you have seen." So he left Egypt and went to Jacob in the land of Canaan and told him, "Joseph is still alive. In fact, he is a ruler." Jacob was shocked and didn't believe him. So he told him everything Joseph had said. Jacob saw the carts that they had sent him to carry back that gave new life to their father Jacob. He said, "I believe it now. My son Joseph is still alive. I will go see him before I die." Jacob sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph. He sent him to get directions to Goshen. And so they arrived in the area of Goshen, and Joseph sent his servants to get his chariot ready. He went to Goshen to meet his father, Israel. As soon as he came to his father, Joseph threw his arms around him. Then Joseph sobbed for a long time. So Joseph settled his father and his brothers in Egypt. He gave them property in the best part of the land. In the story. So, let's talk about that. So, what do you guys think the story of Joseph is really about?
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. It's about forgiveness. Because what happened to Joseph, man? They were jealous of him. They were always picked on him. To Joseph, it was like, man, he had these 11 siblings that just wanted to just beat on him all the time. They were just mean to him, picked on him. And eventually, they were going to kill him. And then they sold him to slavery, where he spent years as a slave. And after he worked his way up, he spent years in prison, like 20 years in prison. I remember how long it was, a long time. And then from there, he finally rose to power because God was always with him. Now, how do you think you'd feel? You'd have a lot of built-up resentment, right? You took me from my home, from my family, where I knew nobody. I had nothing for the majority of my life because of you. You ruined my life. I can't get that back. A lot of people will be built up over that. But not Joseph. He knew that it was his place with God to forgive them. That's the problem with today. We're so full of pride. We always have to be right. We always have to be the best, have the best. We can never be wrong. We have the perfect life that we show, the nicest house, the nicest cars. And we're never humble. We're never just thankful. We're never just happy with what we have. It's never enough. And that's what we have to realize. When we look into this book, even the kids' version, Jesus took the place of a servant. He served us. He died for us. He washed his disciples' feet. When he was asked who would inherit the kingdom of heaven, who was the greatest in the kingdom, his disciples thought to be one of them. He pulled over a kid and said, no, this child. A child will. Because a child's humble. They believe without doubt. I know when I was a kid, I believed without doubt. I was taught God is the creator. I knew God was the creator. Zero doubt in my mind. I was humbled by that. And now as an adult, you get older and you start questioning things. You start hearing theories and evolution, the Big Bang, and you get so tied up in the world and what's right and what's wrong and trying to be prideful in yourself, and you'll lose all that. You'll lose everything that God wants you to keep, of being a servant, being humble, being quick to forgive, being full of love and joy as a child. That's what we got to get back to. That's what this book is about. It's about being humble. Did Joseph say, go tell Father about how great I am. Go tell him how I became the king because I'm so smart and I know dreams and I'm so masterful? No, he didn't say that. He said, look at all God's done for me. Oh, I'm so thankful for God. He's been with me through all this hardship. He sent me here to go through this. God had a plan. Don't be hard on yourselves. God wanted me here so I could save all these people through his mighty power. Gave all the praise to God. That's what we need to do in our lives. And then when it came to his brothers, did he hold a grudge? No. And he had more reason than almost any of us. He went through terrible hardships because of his brothers. But he chose to forgive. He chose an act of kindness. He didn't just forgive and leave it there. He gave all of his brothers land. He gave all his brothers plenty of food. He made sure they were blessed as he was blessed. That's true forgiveness and true love. Last thing I want to point out, you may have seen at the end there, Jacob's name changed to Israel. That was God's doing because the nations of Israel would come from this man, the 12 tribes, through the 12 sons of Israel. Through his descendants, the tribes of Israel will be made. So, important stuff in there in the Bible as well. That's the main thing I can think of to tell you guys. Of course, Joseph did marry, have children. He was very blessed. You might be thinking, well, then how did they become slaves if everything was so good between him and Pharaoh? Well, between Moses and Joseph, we have a difference of 400 years. In that 400 years, a lot of things change. They forgot all about Joseph and what he did, and now they were more worried about political power and using the Hebrews to their advantage and making sure they didn't rise up against them. So a lot's going to change between these two time frames. And, the next Pharaoh was more worried about power, and they get caught up in that pride and that power struggle of being the greatest. And that's what gets Egypt in the mess they're going to be in our next chapter when we start talking about the life of Moses, which is all the book of Exodus easily. And then we have the book of Deuteronomy as well. So, there's a lot to cover. So there'll probably be multiple chapters talking about Moses. But what a great man. I appreciate you guys watching. Again, I apologize for the break between parts, but I want to get back. It's important that we finish what we're reading and that you guys have it to refer back to share with people, to get the Word of God out there. We'll be back next Thursday. Alyssa will be back in the hot seat most likely. As much fun as Nikki was. My little diva.
Next Thursday, at least I have breakfast, so I don't have to do the video.
Do the videos at night. But we do have breakfast because Nikki made honor roll. She got all A's and 1 C, which is, I know, we're working on a C. Massive struggle, but we know we can do better. We're doing better. We're doing extra practice. Nikki's doing awesome at it. She got straight A's and everything else. It gave her like a 3.8 something average. So awesome job. We're really proud of Nikki. Hasn't gotten in trouble this year in school. I'm very proud. I'm bragging a little bit, not out of pride, but because I am very proud of my daughter. But again, thank you guys for listening, and we'll do some trivia questions next week, and we'll be back here next Thursday. Come hang out with us on the couch, spend time in our living room, and we'll get into the Word of God. As always, you guys, never lose hope. You don't know what tomorrow may bring. See you later.
Bye-bye.